Welcome to Rip It Up, the Renovations podcast. I'm Jenny.
I'm Kate, and between us we've renovated a lot of houses and it hasn't scared us off.
In fact, we loved it so much that we can't stop talking about it. So in this podcast, we will give you all the tools and info that you need to tackle your own renovation like a pro.
Welcome back to the podcast. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Jen.
Very exciting news. We're on YouTube now. So if you're listening to this on good old-fashioned Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that's absolutely fine. You can keep doing that. But if you want to check us out, we're also on YouTube. Check out our YouTube
your
channel.
lovely artwork behind you and my fancy wallpaper behind me.
Your beautiful fancy wallpaper is behind you. We should do like a visual walkthrough of your house when it's done and you're ready for cameras. That could be like a YouTube.
That could be a bit off yet
special.
now.
We won't get people too excited. We're just going to keep teasing that for a while. Anyway, welcome back to the podcast. Last episode, we spoke about your snag list and the last bits and pieces to look out for when you're walking through your renovation and things that you can keep money back for that your builder or your contractor will come back and fix. And today, we're getting real and recognizing that it might not always be possible to get your contractor back. It might not always be possible. Or it might be a year or two down the line and there's just some small things that you can just fix yourself. It might just be easier. Or maybe your builder has disappeared and he couldn't give a damn about your attention. But it's just totally normal. Like after renovation, it's totally normal for, small cracks to appear, a few small little bits and pieces to go wrong. And we're just going to take you through how to fix it. The bank holiday's coming up.
Yeah.
You have loads of time in your hands.
Loads
right?
of free time. Yeah, loads of free time.
Who doesn't?
And it is hard. We talked about retention before. It's not a massive amount of money for a lot of builders. So sometimes it actually costs them money to come back and do a lot of this stuff. So it's hard to get some builders to come back and do the snag list. And also you could be like me and you could just be at the end of your tether. You want people out of your fucking house. Maybe you're like, I'll just finish the snags myself. But there's some little ones that you can probably attempt yourself. And I find a lot of the snags are where two trades or two service providers or something intersect. And they're where the snags happen, holes where radiator pipes are coming up. Is it the flooring person? Is it the plumber? Is it, a socket moved? Is that the electrician now? Does a plaster have to come in? So those little bits are stuff that maybe some of it you can tackle yourself. But I would say, caveat here, don't go touching electrics or plumbing.
Don't ever go touching electrics.
Unless you know what you're doing. You can hand tighten a little P-trap under a sink or something like that, but don't be getting tools out touching plumbing or electrics and come suing us because you've water damage in your house.
Yeah. I also want to give a shout out, right? So there's some things here that are super easy and if you feel in any way competent and you've some experience with DIY, you can go for it. I actually have come across, and I've been definitely doing one of these myself because I'm pretty handy, but you can always be better. There's a load of really good DIY kind of evening courses or even day courses around the country. One of my friends did a brilliant one. She raves about it out in Cabinteely. If you look on, I think it's Cabinteely Higher Education or Cabinteely evening courses, something like that. Or even just Google, there's two websites. I'll put them in the show notes. One is nightcourses.ie or something like that. And one is, I can't remember. I'll put the two links in the show notes anyway. I came across them today. And just around the country, there's loads of really good DIY classes that you can do yourself. They're 120 quid for 10 weeks, an hour or two a week. And really hands-on, learn how to fix the basics. I just kind of think if you're going to be a homeowner and keep your home in good shape, it's just a very empowering thing to learn how to do DIY.
I love those little night courses, whatever. I remember I did one in Galway years ago. Not a DIY one, but I did a mechanics one.
Oh,
don't remember any of it, to be honest, but it was really good at the time. I remember it at the time. You felt a bit more confident going getting your car serviced, or if there's something wrong, you knew roughly what was wrong.
That's a really good thing to do. Yeah. Okay, so we definitely recommend those. I'll put the links in the show notes. But for whatever reason, if you just don't want to call in somebody or you want to tackle something yourself, there's a few things you can do. So first of all, some things that are really common that crop up kind of post renovation that are totally normal and you might not get somebody back in for cracks. Just cracks, little hairline cracks. It could be between plasterboard that's settling. It could be along your stairs because the weight of somebody going up and down the stairs, over time has just caused it to settle. It could be like a little bit around the windows, little mini cracks, not structural, just little hairline cracks. Very normal. Hairline crackers.
Yeah. And there's different types of filler here. Like I mean, you can use your standard kind of tub of poly filler. I actually love the lightweight one. There's a few different brands. Something Devil, I had one, but there's a lightweight poly filler as well. There's also a Tech 7 light one, and they're kind of multi-purpose. You can kind of do them on like painted surfaces. You could do them on wood that's been varnished or whatever. Like it'll work in different kind of surfaces depending on the color and the finish you're putting on it. But when you pick up the tub, you'd think the tub is empty. It's so light. It's kind of more of a witch texture. And the reason I think this one's really good is it sands like a dream. It doesn't have a sandy kind of finish on it. It doesn't have a rough finish on it. So it sands really smooth. It's really lightweight, but it's a little bit more flexible as well than the standard kind of poly filler. So that lightweight stuff is unbelievable for kind of smaller cracks, stuff like that. So if I ever had those, I'd use that kind of filler. And then wood filler is another kind of important one, because sometimes that can happen if, like, I don't know, they put in new hinges in your doors or new doorknobs and they left a big gaping hole where an old knob used to be, or, those kind of things. And I know in our last house we switched all the knobs and latches and everything, and they left big holes where the old ones were and never filled them. And one thing I would say, don't go, if you're filling doors or wood or things that are opening and closing or more likely to be under stress, so like steps on a stairs, you really want like a really hard filler. And for those, I usually use a 2-part filler. I don't know if you've ever seen the metal tub. And inside that metal tub of filler, there comes a tiny little tube of kind of hardener. So you put in like a little bit and a little bit.
Kind of like what you get in an epoxy resin, like that.
Exactly. Yeah. But that stuff, it will set rock hard, but it's really hard to sand. So only put just as much as you need or skim over. Otherwise, you'd be sanding for days trying to get it off. And it's like it literally sets like a rock. So I would recommend that for kind of those more dynamic kind of filling purposes, I would say.
A little bit of kind of movement in it almost.
Yeah.
One thing I will say as well before you do any of that is if it's a really, really, really tiny crack, like literally just in the paint, is try, those, I've talked about these about 20 times, the magic erasers or magic sponges. They're just these cleaning sponges that are mild abrasive. And if you just lightly go over the tiny little crack in your paint, it might be enough to just sand it back, and it might go invisible. Or invisible enough for you. So that's like a good place to start, just to check if it's only a little crack in the paint in the wall. That's a really good one. The one thing to think about as well, if you're listening to this and you're not come across your slag list test, we mentioned this the last episode, keep paint if you can, like keep the pot of paint that you had on that wall. So if it's something that you're sanding back and something that you're painting over, it's quite hard to match it, even if you get the exact same tub of paint. There's different batches and tiny variations. So always just keep, an extra tub of paint left over from your own renovation if possible. And then the repainting, sometimes it'll look a little bit different because you've got a bit of fresh coat of paint over it. And sometimes all you need is just leave that sit for a week or two and normal wear and tear, it'll settle in, it'll look the same as the rest of your wall. What you want to avoid is having to repaint your whole entire wall.
Absolutely. And this is something you should probably take note of when they're painting. If you have painters in to paint your house, or you're painting your house the first time, are you doing a roller finish? Are they spraying the house? Because spray finish is really hard to copy. Like, replicate. So if you're doing like a touch-up spot then with a brush, it's going to look completely different. So like, I find if they've sprayed your whole house and you're coming doing a repair, the closest thing you're going to get is one of those kind of mini spongy foam rollers. Maybe it's the closest kind of surface you'll get to a sprayed surface, because you're not probably going to spray the place yourself. And if you have to use a brush, then you just need to kind of blend it in, same as you would foundation. I actually think painting is something that women are way better at sometimes.
Definitely. We've been doing it for years.
We have been painting ourselves head to toe for years, and blending and whatever. We're actually really good at it. And I find when it comes to woodwork, I'm way better at that in my house, because it's like doing nail polish. You're trying to get the kind of lines out of it and stuff. So kind of employ the same techniques, I would say.
Yeah, I'm old enough now. I know how cracks work. I know how to fill them in. It's no problem. I've got this.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really handy. That's for paint. That's for filling something in. Next thing then is like the cracks around the edges. I gotta say, this is not the easiest job in the world, but I find it unbelievably satisfying. And this is one like if you're in a rental maybe, and your bathroom needs a refresh or your kitchen needs a refresh, removing the sealant around the edges. If you're seeing those little black spots or it's just cracked or whatever, the sealant around the edges of your showers, of maybe your kitchen backsplash, your sink, is a deeply, deeply satisfying job to do, and not a hard one. I won't say like
No.
it's simple, it's labor intensive, but it's not difficult.
Yeah, and the removal thing actually can take a long time because it's really stuck down, right? But I bought a little removal tool. It's kind of like a little snow plow, kind of plastic edge, and it goes in under the line of silicone and gives you this perfectly clean edge. It saved me so much time last time. It was a couple of pounds on Amazon or something, and I thought that was amazing. And then I kind of siliconed. I used to actually silicone my old kitchen sink a lot because it was made of porcelain, and I found the edges got kind of grubby quite quickly in a kitchen sink. Like I probably wouldn't do one of those sinks again, but so I used to remove it a lot and re-silicone it. But it's important for bathrooms and stuff. You get the good kind of mold resistant silicone, so you're not going to get those black spots in it really quick again. And I find the best of the best for sealing then is the likes of kind of Tech 7 or one of those ones. But they are really hard to, some of those really good ones like Tech 7 are really hard to manipulate like into the crack and smooth out.
I find if you like, as you're putting it on, if you just follow right behind it with your finger, and I know you can get tools and everything for this, but I just always use my finger. I think it's really handy. Now, if you've long nails, that could be a difficult one. Or you could put on rubber gloves if you don't want to get too messy. But I think just going right in behind it and just rubbing it in along, or with the tool if you want. I'm just going to go back to though that remover tool is a really important point, because you have to remove it all. You can't leave bits of it. And like that is probably the hardest part of the whole thing, is making sure that that's all removed and making sure that it's got a clean surface. But you do have to remove it all, because otherwise it's not going to stick properly to the surface. And you could, don't half-ass this. Like remove it properly, and then putting it back on is going to take so much. It'll be so much quicker and it'll last so much longer. That's the hard part.
Yeah, and some of those, we were saying about following your finger behind the caulk line or the silicone line or whatever. It's all the same if you're doing it. Some of them are really tacky. Some of them are a bit smoother and your finger won't stick to it too much. If you find it's a really sticky one and it's just not like moulding very well, put like a pump or two of just hand soap or dish soap or whatever in the palm of your other hand, and have your finger dipping in that as you go, and it literally glides over it then. Some people use baby wipes. I don't find them as good. I just find dipping my finger in soap, it just like glides over it and makes the most like silky smooth surface and bead of caulk then. But I think that's a really good tip if you are doing it. You'll get a really clean line.
As you go.
Yeah. And if you want a really clean line as well, mask the top and the bottom and then caulk between the two mask lines, and then you get a perfectly kind of straight line, crisp line.
I did this for in Rotar. I made a mistake where I didn't take the tape off. I let it dry first, and then it just turned into a bit of a nightmare. So mask it, absolutely. I think that's a great tip. Peel it away while it's still wet. That's a tip for everything, even when you're painting. Just do peel it away while it's still wet. But you're right, it does give you perfect straight lines. Kind of hard to get otherwise,
It is really hard. And I think siliconing and caulking is just so satisfying.
It's so satisfying. It's such an impact. You don't realise, listener, like if you're looking at little tiny black spots in your bathroom, like you get rid of those. It's almost like getting a new bathroom.
Yeah,
like it really makes such a huge, huge difference. And they're always, after a few years, they're always going to be there, like in the corner of your shower or the corner of your bath or whatever. They'll just be a little bit black. And just put a Saturday aside and just get it done. It's very satisfying and very doable. And it's not one you need a lot of tools for. Like you don't need sanding tools. You just like these are easy things you can get in any local hardware shop.
Exactly. Yeah. Love it.
Okay. I'm going to go on to one thing that this has happened to me a couple of times is doors not really, like they don't close properly, or they're creaking, or maybe they just like, especially cabinet doors, kitchen cabinet doors. I have really heavy pocket doors, and one of them just kept kind of tilting a little bit, and all it took was like tightening of the hinges to a certain point and making sure that they didn't open up again. But for this, I will say, if it's just creakiness, WD-40 is the best fucking thing on the planet. I don't know how it gets into every single nook and cranny, but I use it on everything. Like it just makes life so much easier. This is my first stop. If it's just a bit of a creaky hinge or a creaky door, WD-40.
Yeah, and those kitchen hinges, like you said, that you can kind of micro adjust them front and back and side to side. So if you feel like if your cabinet doors are a little bit off plumb, or catching on one side when you close them all the way and not closing on the other side or whatever, those little screws on those Blum hinges, or those kind of heavy kitchen hinges, they're just little micro adjustments. So all you need to do is back out the screw a little bit or tighten it in a little bit, and we'll tip one door in at the end or out at the end, or as you need. So that's a really easy adjustment as well, just to kind of learn how those work.
Yeah, you don't need a new kitchen. It's just a little, all you need is a screwdriver, really.
Yeah.
And just make sure you have the right head, and do not shear at the top of that screw. With a big heavy drill or something like that, like, or an electric screwdriver. Just go in nice and gentle, figure out the right fitting for the screwdriver, and then just little tiny adjustments, and off you go. You'll be on your way.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do, if it's just because of an uneven floor surface or something, if the bottom of a door is catching, is you can sand it just really lightly. Like, if everything is fine, it's in the right place, but maybe even uneven floor, or it's just catching on something, you can go underneath the bottom of that door with sandpaper. And one thing that's really handy is you can just almost like tape the sandpaper down
to the floor. I saw
just leave it there for a few days, and it'll just sand itself every time somebody opens and closes the door.
I saw this hack, and I was like, does that really work? And then
it works. I did it on my bathroom door.
It worked a treat. So she just taped on the sandpaper exactly where it was catching, and just opened and closed the door 50 times or so, like over a few days. And it was perfect. Sanded
it's
it right
brilliant.
back.
Yeah, it's
brilliant.
a really, really handy one. Anything else for, door handles? Sometimes kind of door handles get a little bit loose.
Yeah, you can kind of usually screw off a lot of the faceplates and tighten them up. Sometimes when they're fitted, the bar that goes kind of through your door and out to the knobs or out to the levers on the other ends, sometimes when the people are fitting them, they leave those bars too long, because usually they have to be cut to length depending on the thickness of your doors. So if you find your doorknobs are kind of jiggling inside and outside of the door, that's usually it. You might need to shave a little bit off that bar on the inside, take it off, and get a little mini hacksaw or something if you wanted to tackle that. But generally, doors, besides like creaky hinges and sticking somewhere or something like that, they can be tricky to adjust, because hinges really have to be precisely fitted. So I would kind of stay away from adjusting the hinges on doors and stuff, because it'll probably just fall on top of you and probably not work.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And then for those handles, for what you're saying about taking them off, usually if you look underneath a door handle or somewhere like that, you'll either be able to remove a plate, or you'll be able to see a tiny screw hidden, and if you remove that, then the plate will come off.
Tiny little set screw or something.
Yeah, maybe remember the order you took it off in, or take pictures or something. So you can
take pictures. Pictures of your friends. And hopefully it's not one of those sprung doorknobs that as soon as you open it, it goes ping and the springs go everywhere, and then you're goosed.
Yeah. I think that's it and that goes for kind of kitchen handles and any other kind of handles as well. I would say, again, definitely your front door, leave that alone. Get a professional to deal with that, because you don't want to be messing with your front door handle. But anything else, a little bit of tension, a little bit of tightening, you should probably be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, one that I had to deal with was a little bit of mold or any kind of water stain if there was any leaks that didn't fully dry out. So I had an issue with my bath. I think we talked about this before, in that the overflow from my bath was not properly connected into the drain. And so if I filled my bath up to the brim and sat into it, then the overflow drain just drained down to my ceiling downstairs.
Oh my God.
So it was a bit of a disaster. Luckily, I did have a great builder who did come back and fix it straight away, and I haven't had a problem since. It's been 5 years. But I did get a bit of a water stain on the corner of that ceiling and on my wallpaper, which I was devastated about, because I'm not going wallpapering the whole thing. So a brilliant one for that is you can use like a bit of diluted bleach or something like that in water. Just tap it on, leave it for a minute, and then wipe it. Like, make sure you wipe it away clean. Bleach is obviously a little bit risky. You don't, like, if there's, if you've got a darker color on your wall, or if you've got a fabric wallpaper or something like that, you definitely don't want to be using that. So you also can just use a mixture of, you can try vinegar and water and spray that on and just leave it sit for a little while, and then wipe that away again and see if that works. Or you can use like an oxy-action cleaner, something like Vanish, a nice diluted version of that. That's what ended up working best for me. I just got Vanish oxy-action, made up a little solution of it, wiped it on the wallpaper and the ceiling, both of which were white, so I didn't have a huge staining issue, and then wiped it off after, I think it was about 5 or 10 minutes, and it was fine.
Yeah, never came back.
Never came back, no. perfect then.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, damp ones are important to kind of get dried out as well before you paint, if you have to
Yeah.
repaint, because otherwise paint will just peel again. So maybe, give it time, put on the heating in the room. If you have a dehumidifier, throw it in that corner.
Big shout out for dehumidifiers. We
Yeah.
love dehumidifiers on this
Yeah.
podcast. They are the future. Like they're the best thing ever. So
Dry your clothes, fix your house. What can't they
they're
do?
better than tumble dryers. I'm going to come out and say it. Like they're unreal.
Yeah,
Everyone should have
they're
one.
class.
Yeah,
Especially if you're in an old house.
Yeah, especially if you have an old house, and if you've any bit of damp at all. And sure, this country, like we say, blasé, dry it out, let it dry out, no bother whatsoever. No, it might not be possible at the time that you're listening to this.
Literally mightn't dry out.
Get a
Exactly.
dehumidifier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else with a little bit of? Did you have any water stains anywhere? A little bit of mold or dry or anything?
Like I think I mentioned this before. Like our last plumber drilled through the tanking when he fit a bath tap. So I had a similar situation, like where water was pouring out of my ceiling through the down lights in the kitchen. But I don't think we actually had any staining. It was just a kind of one time, and it kind of dried out all right. So I didn't have to treat it, but I have had plenty of mold in this house before it was renovated when it was old and like in rentals. So yeah, employ the same approach, I think.
Yeah, good thing to get rid of. Okay, what else? Another easy, super simple one you can do this weekend is skirting boards or scuffs. There's always going to be scrapes. I have a load of scrapes like in my hallway and kind of around my front door because my bike, I just drag my bike in and out of there and I'm just not that careful with it. And you'll always like get a chunk taken out of the wall or get stains on the skirting boards. My first thing again with that is always the magic sponges. They're unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then we're back to, if you need to, just repaint, sand.
Can I just say one step up from your magic sponge? I do love a magic razor. Is the flexible sanding sponges. They're just like thin, pretty flexible. They come in kind of fine, medium, coarse. I find the kind of medium best for most things, especially walls and stuff like that. But like I find after renovation, you'll find drips of paint or that kind of stuff, or just like you said, like dings out of walls that you need to fill and sand again or whatever. Those flexible sanding sponges just fix almost everything and kind of rough plaster. Or if you're redoing the skirting, they're great to kind of mold around molded timber, get a lovely smooth surface if you want to repaint any of that. I just think it's worth, if you want to do a bit of this property maintenance and kind of snag stuff yourself, get a few kind of key tools, like a good filling knife, for filler and putty and that kind of stuff. Some of those sanding sponges, a good paintbrush so you're actually going to clean out. Like I think buying shit paintbrushes, you're just going to get a shit finish. It's like buying the really cheap makeup brushes. Like you're going to get a shit finish in your paint. So unless you're using some sort of varnishy stuff that you're never going to be able to wash out, don't use a shit brush. So buy a good paintbrush. Have a few kind of key tools. I think a decorator's scraper is great, like an all-in-one kind of painter's tool. You can use it for cleaning brushes. You can use it for scraping things. You can use it to take off old tacks and stuff on walls. Like you can use it for like so much stuff, like scraping and filling. So a painter's tool is great. But I'm trying to think of what other kind of key little tools do I have that I use all the time.
I think everything you've mentioned here, we're probably coming in at a grand total of like 50 quid max.
Yeah.
Do you know, like these are not expensive things and they're not space. Like for those of you who listen because you love tiny homes and storage, they're not things that take up space. Like you put these in a little box somewhere, a little tub somewhere.
Exactly.
Like
they nearly fit in a little makeup bag. Like they're that tiny.
Yeah.
I think just having a few key tools, you'll keep going back to the good ones over and over again. A painter's tool will cover a lot of stuff though, if you're doing a lot of this work. I kind of with you on the whole silicone tool thing. I bought a few of them before. They give you a lovely smooth edge, but only if your edges are perfect and square and perfect right angles. If they're not, or you have a bit of a, banjaxed old house, it's very hard to use any of those tools. And I think your finger is the best caulk tool you'll use.
There's something about now it's easy for me to say I have short nails and I don't usually wear them long, so it's easier to do it when you have that. But I just find the pressure, because you do need a really even pressure going along it. Like you don't want to have little dips in it or whatever. And I find whenever I use the tool, I just find it hard to control. It's so much easier to feel that consistent pressure with your fingertip.
And talking about consistent pressure, actually, it's important to have a decent caulking tool gun as well. I think the really shit caulk guns, like you'll be pumping them and then loads come out and then nothing comes out. And then, you know,
Yeah.
it's hard to push and sometimes they block up and lock up or whatever. So I think a good one that you kind of have a consistent kind of easy bead of silicone or caulk coming out, I
Yeah.
think are worth it.
And you can have like sometimes the handle on it, if it's really cheapy, the handle doesn't quite like
Digging
compress
into you.
properly, or it's
Yeah.
just a bit like awkward, and then that also causes things to spurt out. So you can
Yeah.
kind of like feel it if you're in the shop. But definitely talk to it. If you're ever going to a hardware shop, like they're only to, like in my experience, I've literally never had a bad experience in a hardware shop. They're only too happy to like take you through, you know, what's good and what would
Yeah.
suit you. But just lift them up and feel the heft of them and give things a little, you know, like handle things. See,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
does
yeah.
that feel good or not? I think that's really, really good.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Oh, another one, little fabric touch-ups. So sometimes you might have like a tight fraying edge, especially if you've got pets or kids in the house, like a little fraying edge of a cushion or a sofa or an old chair that maybe you got like a secondhand bargain, or you brought something with you from your old house or something, and things just go a little bit. A little bit of upholstery and sewing DIY can be a really handy thing to know how to do.
I'd love to do an upholstery course. I've never done
There's a
one.
really good chair recovering course. Again, same friend who did that DIY course, those courses, did a chair recovering course recently. I think you can do one like down in Lascana or something as well. That's supposed to be a brilliant one.
Do you like
Anyway.
buy your own chair and bring it, and then that's your
Yeah.
project for the class or something?
I think so, yeah. I'll
I'd
find
love
the
to
link
do
and put it in the show notes. So, but yeah, let's do that. It's on holidays.
Yeah.
There's a few things I love for this, right? Especially for chairs. And blast me, this is just for a quick fix. I'm not talking about like properly reupholstering like to great detail here. But a staple gun, so handy for just recovering anything. I know you did a whole ottoman, didn't you, before with a staple gun?
I did, yeah.
Um,
I've stripped back the ottoman again with the intention of recovering it with the new fabric, but I never got to it since we moved. So it's in storage, just naked, with the feet taken off. Like I spent ages stripping it all back again because I properly stripped it back, buried back to the foam. So I'm going to do it again soon. But yeah, a good staple gun, it's worth, again, getting a good one. Or even a little tack gun, like they're very good as well.
Yeah. Small,
But yeah.
inexpensive. They fix lots of things. Like outdoor projects can be fixed with a staple gun. Like they are really handy.
Yeah, and then like out to the fabric outlet and get some amazing fabric for like €5 a metre.
Yeah, win-win.
It's like
And
for
those
free.
are things as well. Like sometimes like the back of your couch or something, it just starts maybe fraying, especially if it's a bit older. It maybe starts fraying where the cover is on it, you know, and where the edges meet. So a staple gun can buy you a few extra years, if not more.
Can I talk
fabric
about
glue
something
as well
else?
can be really helpful.
Something else that comes loose, I find, is curtains. I'm looking at them here. They're not loose. I just put them up. But curtains and just things that are hung on your walls and stuff in general, because you know they can be hung incorrectly in the first place. They didn't use a roll plug, and there might have been a screw straight into plasterboard or whatever. Having a kind of general idea how to hang stuff and how to rehang stuff.
Yeah.
And say you have a big heavy curtain rod and that's pulling out of the wall. That's a tricky one to fix without taking out and drilling completely new holes. But that kind of like 2-part really hard filler could be an option for something like that, for packing out around the hole. But knowing how to kind of hang stuff in the first instance. So like one tool that we have that's kind of useful is a beam finder or stud detector. So the stud detector will help you find the stud or the beam in the wall that you can drill straight into with the screw. And if you can't, or you're not sure what you're drilling into, you might need to use roll plugs. If you have really old walls, like our old brick walls, sometimes the big long concrete screws are the best thing because you're getting a nice bit of length in there. Because I find these old walls kind of tend to crumble otherwise. But just kind of knowing how to hang stuff, and just watching kind of shelves, like if you're overloading shelves, they can start to tip down and stuff over some time. So that's another skill I would say definitely worth. There's so many videos as well. There's just so many videos about how to drill and hang up shelves. Men love talking about it. Just look at them on YouTube.
The videos, though, why are they so long? I don't know.
I don't know.
I totally agree with you. If you're buying one of those tools, the one I have as well will also detect for electricity. So I think that's really useful too. Just if you're not used to doing anything like this before, it'll check where the stud is in the wall and where you should be drilling into, but it'll also just reassure
Make sure you're
you
not
that
going to
you're not about
electrocute
to drill
yourself.
into wires. Yeah, because you don't want to do that.
And generally, if you're doing anything around a switch, around a socket, or if you're touching any light fitting, just err on the side of caution, switch it off the wall and switch it off the trip board as well. Just be sure. Why not? Like,
Yeah.
I saw someone on Instagram before changing their faceplates of their switches out, and she hadn't turned off the power, and she ended up in the
Oh my God,
emergency
that gives
room.
me
And I
so
was
much
like,
anxiety.
and I'm like, just turn off the fucking power. Like, you don't need to have the power on when you're doing this. But
Turn off the power. You never know what's behind it. You never know what direction the wires
Yeah.
are taken behind the wall, or why, or
No.
something got moved last minute, or something decided not to. You just never know. Just check it. And
Yeah.
you're totally right.
Do you know what's
You can
something-
buy
something
gloves
that-
as well, electrical gloves for extra safety, just so that if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
are
yeah.
putting your hand somewhere, it's But
But
don't
just
rely
turn
on
off
those.
the
Also
power.
turn it off. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know something? We were talking about siliconing, but we didn't talk about grouting.
Oh
I think-
yeah. Okay.
Regrouting
haven't.
is something you can do. So I
Yeah.
grouted, just we kind of tiled with some basic subway tiles, because when we moved into this house before we renovated, there was only a bath, right? So we hung up an electric shower, but then it was just walls around it. You know, it hadn't been tiled or anything. So we just got some basic, like €10 a metre metro subway tiles or whatever, and just did the corner. It's actually really straightforward. You can buy pre-mixed adhesive. You can buy pre-mixed grout if you want, but the grout is actually pretty straightforward as well. But you just need to be really accurate with the amount of water. And I'm talking to the grams, like, you know, don't be out, because otherwise you'll get, you know, slop and it won't set properly, or else
Yeah.
it'll be too thick and you
So
won't be
did
able
you
to
use the weighing
rub it in.
scales when you say grams?
Yeah, I
Like, you
used
actually weigh it
a weighing
out? Okay.
scales. Yeah, I weighed out the amount, because I wasn't using that much. I was only doing a small area, so just getting the consistency right, and then you kind of need to move relatively fast because it sets pretty quick, and then buffing it off before it sets really hard.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I had a very easy tile because it was a glossy tile and whatever, and it was pretty smooth. Now it did have a beveled edge, which made it a bit trickier, but it's not that difficult. If the grout is really pissing you off and you hated it, or you put in white grout and now it's yellow because you like tan or whatever, like, there are ways to fix it. It's not the end of the world, and it's actually pretty straightforward. If you don't want to mix it, buy the pre-mixed stuff. But I definitely give regrouting a go again.
Yeah. It's another really huge uplift, like the ceiling. Like, you might think it's only a small thing, but once you redo it, like, it just makes a massive difference. It's incredible.
Yeah. Now I don't think I'd give tiling a go with real good tiles. Like, these were cheap tiles. We knew it was a temporary job. Tiling in itself is a bit of a skill. It's a bit of an art. Like, getting the cuts
I think I'd give it a
nice.
go. I wouldn't do it on expensive tiles. I wouldn't trust myself, because cutting it is where you run into issues. If you're just tiling a totally flat surface and you don't have to cut anything, and you're sure
Exactly.
just square tiles or whatever, then I think it's much easier. But if you have to cut them, that's where you're into trouble. If they're cheap, grand, give it a go, or try a small area, see how you get on, give it a go. One thing that's really helpful there that we haven't mentioned yet in terms of tools, if you are tiling or hanging shelves or anything, is a level. Obviously you can just use a spirit level, that's totally fine. But a laser level is a really, really, really handy thing to have.
It is, and they're cheap as chips now. Like, those kind of things used to be so expensive. Like, those tools, I remember we bought one a good few years ago, like when we were doing our last house, and I think I'm going to say it was over £100 or something on Amazon. It was expensive enough, I remember, maybe even 200. I can't remember, but now they're like £30-40 is like decent ones, like really good ones. Like, do you know? So if you're
It's one of those things when you get it, you're like, how did I not use this before? But if you're hanging pictures, what did I used to do before that? Was I just there with a ruler? Like, there's so much, it's so much easier. Yeah,
there's so much you can use it for if you're doing a lot of DIY. So it's definitely worth investing in something like that. But tiling tools and stuff, I don't know. I'd go with the basic kind of grouting stuff, fine. But all the cutting tools, all that, we did all that messing before, and like we bought a tile cutter. Like, it was a cheap one again. Like, but when you're cutting with cheap cutters, like, you get a shit edge, and like, I wouldn't do it if it was my finish forever bathroom. I just wouldn't trust myself, and it's not worth it for someone coming in tiling it. Like, I'd spend my time better somewhere else and get a better bang for my buck, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you there. One thing that I haven't done, have you ever done this, is replace a plank, like a floor plank or even a laminate plank or anything like that? Have you ever done that?
Well, we laid a laminate floor in this house before we renovated, because it was like the most disgusting patterned old carpet in the dining space, which gave me, like, you hate smelly old carpet, but this was the smelliest of the smelliest old carpet. So it had to come up, and so it was just like a click laminate. So we did that in the cuts, and that's okay. That's like a decent one to tackle. It just depends then if you have to replace a piece in the middle. is it a floating floor? Do you have to take out the other ones? If it's tongue and groove on the edges, it becomes very tricky. I definitely
you also might have to
tackle
cut that, especially because it'll always happen around the edges typically, you know.
Exactly,
That could be really tricky.
And how you fit it back in and get a clean edge around it is tricky. But I definitely tackle like a missing tile.
Yeah.
You know, just crack it out and whatever, and chip off whatever old adhesive is there and stick down a new one. I would say that would be fairly straightforward. But wood floors with the edges and tongue and grooves and stuff like that, I don't know if I tackle it.
If you're looking at a cracked tile, and maybe this is definitely not a forever fix, but if you're looking at it like a tiny cracked tile and you just can't replace it, or you can't find a match or whatever, you can, you know, that kintsugi thing. I always like see pictures of people who do it really nicely, and it looks so pretty. That's the Japanese thing where like you keep the fix, or you keep the crack, but you fill it in with gold, so you kind of highlight it and make a feature out of it. Just something to think about. It might not always be possible to like exactly replace whatever you have. So maybe is there a way you can work around it that like, okay, it's not a forever fix. I don't want like a gold crack in my hallway for the rest of my life. But, you know, for a little while, that could be something kind of pretty. Or covered over with a plant. That's fine too. No judgment over here. Do whatever you want.
Yeah. I haven't had to change floorboards, but creaky floorboards we have fixed. And creaky floorboards just drive me insane. I just hate
How do you
when
fix
there's
that?
like
What
this.
do you do?
So it depends on the type of floor. Like you can actually... What?
WD-40.
Yeah, WD-40. Sometimes it can actually be like when you walk over the creaky spot, if it's plank floor, you can kind of see where it's creaking is usually where there's a cut in an old board and those two edges are rubbing. So sometimes actually, believe it or not, powder, like a talcum powder, can stop a squeak like that when it's actually touching one. But if it's just a split damaged board that's kind of sagging and stuff like that, you can kind of screw them down. But if they're old kind of boards, you usually use what's called brad nails, which are these kind of flat-sided nails for old plank flooring. But if you're doing, if you're screwing in, I'd usually drill a kind of a hole to countersink the screw so it's not part of the surface, and then fill that hole with wood filler afterwards. Just gives you a tidier kind of look, and you don't have a split board and the screw part of the surface.
Yeah, lovely. That can really, the squeaky floorboard can just be...
Oh, so annoying.
Haunt my nightmares. You're really annoying.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't talk about, back to kind of kitchen cabinets and stuff, is drawers. Sometimes a drawer can just be a bit shaky or a bit loose, or it's like you pull it out and it doesn't stop at the end or something like that. So one, it might just not be fixed properly, or maybe it's not even, or maybe the stopper isn't put in properly. So usually to pull out a drawer, you just like you pull it all the way out and then you kind of lift it up towards the end and it slots out.
Some of them have like little plastic spring clips. Usually if you feel underneath, you'll feel two plastic spring clips. You have to kind of press at the same time and then it comes out if there's a lock in them.
Yeah, don't force it. Like it should just click out kind of easily and try. Sometimes it can be a two-person job, like one person pulling it out and the second person just looking underneath to see what looks obvious, like is there a gap that comes out. But that again can be maybe something as simple as just tightening something up, or it's just not quite even, or the stopper isn't like put in right, it's gotten a bit loose or something like that. Or if it's just not working out, you can buy replacement drawer runners. They're not expensive. Just get packs of them and they're typically pretty standard, and just like remove the mechanism, put on a new one and enjoy your new life.
Smooth runners.
Yeah, smooth runners, yeah.
What other kind of snags were you talking about last time that you could tackle yourself? Generally I'd try and avoid, if there's leaks, I'd like at least report them to plumbers and stuff like that. But
yeah,
you know,
water
like
and electrics kind of stay away.
If you have like a drippy P-trap under your sink, under your kitchen sink or your bathroom sink, usually though, if they're plastic, they can kind of be hand tightened. So those kind of ones, okay. Like sometimes the nut on the side of your radiators might be drippy and you could tighten those. And sometimes after renovation, it's happening to me here that some of them just weren't, or maybe when they pressure test them, they moved again or something moved because a few of them started dripping. So they just need to be kind of retightened and the system kind of repressurized. But that's something you probably go at. But if it was anything major, I'd definitely call in the experts, because you could just be diverting a leak to somewhere else.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Do you know as well, this isn't really a snag list, but if you are, I did this recently in my kitchen. I just have too much in my pantry, and I also have these bookshelves that all my kitchen books are on, and they're quite long. So they were starting to sag just a tiny bit in the middle, and I noticed it and I was just like, oh, it's not a big deal, it doesn't need to be replaced or anything, it's not going to break. But I just didn't love the look of it. So I just flipped it over and now it's gone back even again. And I'm sure it'll start sagging a little bit the other way eventually, but It's doing me now. Might get another 5 years out of it.
Yeah,
Before I
yeah,
have
yeah.
to flip
Put
it
a
over
little.
again.
You could put a little L bracket in the middle at the back. Or
I
something
could put an
as
L
well.
bracket in the middle, and I've done that in my bookshelves, and that
Yeah,
has
yeah.
worked, and that's been worth it. And it's not visible, and it's super easy. I haven't done my pantry because I'm just lazy and I didn't get around to it, but
Yeah.
that might have fixed it for now.
Yeah, they're my kind of snags that I'm looking at in my house at the moment. Anyway, I'm thinking, well, I just tackle them myself, so people don't have to come to my house anymore.
Yeah. I think one big thing with all of this, we're back to tools, and we mentioned this before, but like at the end of every single job, clean everything properly and put it away properly, because you're going to need it again, or like something's going to set. And like, I know you're tired and you've got silicone all over your hands and maybe paint here and there and whatever, but I think like prep is 80% of all of these jobs. So do just prep, and then that counts at the end as well. Just clean things properly and put them away properly, and you'll thank yourself. And just label everything. Just
Clean your
take pictures as you go.
Clean your paintbrushes. It doesn't take that long.
And your
Don't wrap
rollers.
them in cling film.
Don't. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Just get it
They'll
done.
just dry. They'll just dry on one edge or something like that, and then they'll be ruined anyway. So just wash them. It's a pain in the ass, but just wash them.
Yeah.
Get
Oh,
good
my
too.
last one, peeling wallpaper. As I look at the beautiful non-peeling wallpaper behind you, sometimes I have wallpaper in my upstairs bathroom, sometimes in a bathroom or a wetter area, or like if you have it at the corner or something, it might start peeling away a little bit. And if you buy the paste the wall wallpaper mix or wallpaper glue, whatever, and just put it onto the wall, not onto the wallpaper, and then put it back and hold it there for
Stick
a
it
while,
down.
and away you go, Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. And you don't have to use the whole bag of
No.
the mix either. Again, like the grout, just measure it out with your weighing scales and use a teeny tiny bit, and then you have some of the press for later.
Yeah, just use a bag clip to seal up the bag, because if you
Exactly.
just don't want the water from the atmosphere getting into it, and just keep it nice and tight, and off you go.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Okay, I'm going to put a bunch of stuff in the show notes for you all. So we mentioned a whole bunch of tools and things like that. I'll try to put as many as I can of them as I can in the show notes. I'll put links to courses that I found that are good. These are just like, I'm sure there's some really good private ones around the place. These are just ones that are happening like in public.
Do you know what we should do? We should do
space.
we should do an episode of like these practical tools, us actually doing them live.
Oh, donezo.
Like,
Okay, if you'd
let's-
listen to that, message
Let's
us on
go.
Instagram. and
Let's
let us
go.
know.
Like hang a shelf. Watch Jen and Kate hang a shelf
Yeah, let's do
on
it.
this shitty old wall versus a new wall, and what do we have to do differently?
And what is unexpected and versus what's actually doable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you would, listener, if you would like that, if you listen to that, or if you
Or
watch that on
you
YouTube,
can
message
re-silicone
us.
your bath.
Oh yeah,
We're
I
all
do
gonna go
need to
to-
do that. It's time. It's actually
We're all
time.
going to go to
I will do
Jen's
that
house,
live.
and she's going to re-silicone her bath.
Perfect.
Like, through gritted teeth, great.
It sounded so easy when I talked about it on the podcast. Why have I done this?
Now put your money where your mouth is. You're going to silicone your bath.
Oh yeah, just re-silicone, is it, Jen? Yeah, perfect. Nice one. Thanks a million. What do you do? This could be an extended episode, listeners. Let's see.
Absolutely. I'm coming over now. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
All right, see you soon. Bye.
And everyone else, see you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
If you found that episode useful, please do us a huge favour by giving us a like and a few stars, and especially click that subscribe button. Thank you.